click that next button. Don't even think about clicking on a different podcast because That is Effin' Weird is here to bring you a wealth of knowledge today.
Hey, welcome back everybody to That Is Effin' Weird. I'm Stevenson Longbottom, and today we got yet another great episode. But before we get to that, let me introduce one of our other hosts.
This is Clark, aka the Reverend Michael Snakebite.
And we got Manu here, who created this app. It's called Infotick. It's an alternative to TikTok. It's created back in February of 25, has about 3,000 users, and is growing about 200 users every single day. Manu, thank you for coming onto the show and be willing to talk about this new application that you made.
Thank you for having me on here.
Yeah, so why don't you, I'm just going to get right down to it. So tell us a little bit about yourself and the application and kind of like why you decided to create this app.
So basically, I started doing my master's here in the UK, and I realized, mainly at a house party, that everyone was just stuck at their phones all the time. Like, everyone was in their own tiny little groups scrolling through social media. And I knew it was a problem at the time, people being addicted to social media. I personally tried to use it very less. But then I started working as a social media manager, and then I started having to use social media like Instagram, TikTok to follow the trends, figure out what was a trending audio. And kind of, I just got sucked into it and got addicted myself. And I realized how easy it is for anybody to actually get stuck into the loop of dopamine hit, the tiny short form videos. So I realized, why not try something new? I created a brand new account on Instagram, started following a lot of creators that I really liked, TED Talks, History TV, those kind of stuff. It worked for the first 20 minutes or so, and after that, the Instagram's recommendation algorithm started taking over and started showing me videos of cats, of skateboarding, of extreme sports. And obviously it got my attention, so and like in the next 10 minutes it went from the people I was following and informative videos to just other brain rot. So most of us just uni students and some of my friends, we decided, why not create a platform that actually filters out these videos and just gives the videos that actually have information and fact-based knowledge behind them. So that's basically how the idea for Infotick came about.
That's real interesting. So you're saying that now again, I'm not huge on social media and everyone on the podcast can kind of contest to that, but you're saying that basically what social media does and like the applications is that the algorithm pushes videos to you that you don't even want, and your application is able to combat that in a way.
So I definitely say that all the videos that we have on our platform already exist on other platforms too. It's just that they get really crowded out by all these AI videos and these short form videos with, I don't know, girls and cats and stuff, which just get viewers' attention because it hits your dopamine receptors, right? So even though these creators want to make really good quality informative videos, they have to compete against, the cat videos. And when you're doing that, it's not really good for the creator and it's not really good for the person who's watching it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So let me ask you, what's your core philosophy behind your platform, and how is it fundamentally different from TikTok, Instagram? Like, what separates you apart from all these other social media applications? Because I'm hearing like brain rot and just like these random videos. So is there anything that you can think specifically as far as like what I guess separates you from everyone else?
So initially it started out as a way to filter out the brain rot from social media, but later on we realized that maybe there's also a lot of misinformation and fake news that's just being spread by influencers and stuff, and maybe we need to start combating that too. So that's how we released Pulses, which is basically closer to Twitter or X right now. And it's basically a news feed, but it's fact checked and truthful, unlike Twitter right now. So there's basically two sides to it. One is just the Ticks, which is short form videos, but again informative, and the other is the Twitter side of it, which is basically people talking to each other. But we have an AI which actually fact checks and make sure that everyone gives truthful information, so that you're not stuck in those information bubbles where you're just continuously fed misinformation.
this is something that's really tough and hard for everyone to kind of wrap their head around, and to really kind of, you know, what is truth, what is not. Is that okay? Like the disinformation and like what is not. How is your AI distinguishing what is fact and what isn't? Is there something where, okay, you're setting up the parameters for that AI, or is it something where your AI is taking 3, 4, 5, 10 different pieces of information, checking it, verifying that that is actual truth? Or like, how does that piece actually work?
Especially on the pulses, the AI doesn't really do that much. It just gives a validity rating, so a rating from 0 to 100. And each and every post is also linked to a news article. Ideally, the AI just basically gives you a little bit hint on to how much you want to trust this news source or news article. But the reader themselves hopefully can go through the news article, make their own decision, probably have a few different sources, and make their best possible decision, because we just want to give the power back to the people, basically. And we just think of AI as a helping hand. We don't want AI to have too much control either.
Okay. So it's kind of interesting, where it's not necessarily the AI is filtering the different stuff. It's giving it a rating on like how truthful or how accurate that piece of information is. And then it also, there's an article or a news thing attached with it, you're saying?
Yeah, that's the thing that's different from our application from every other social media, is that every single social media wants to get you to just stay in the scroll loop or in their application. But what we're trying to do, and if you just look at the Infotick logo itself, it's a broken infinity symbol. So we want to break the infinite cycle of scrolling. So the way we want to do that is, when you find something that's interesting, we want you to rather go read the article, whether it be a news article or a Wikipedia article or any kind of report. But we want you to stop scrolling and actually learn something through actual reading, because there's not that much you can actually learn from, you know, a 400 character message or a 30-second video.
I don't know. I've learned a lot scrolling through Reddit and just looking at all those crazy videos. Like, I don't think I would have ever known that the what was it? Oh, all the different cryptids. I'm on a cryptid subreddit, and there's just those 30-second videos. I'm learning a lot about mysterious creatures and shit like that.
But imagine if you like a certain cryptid, all you have to do was click a button and you'd have the entire Wikipedia article about whatever that video is about.
That would actually be pretty legit. That would be kind of nice. There are times where I do find myself wanting to learn more or doing something, but then I just automatically, I'll just scroll to the next thing, or just like, whatever. I'll look into it later, and I never go back, or I'll save a million different videos in the off chance that I'll come back one day and look at all this stuff. I never do. Sometimes I do, but no, that's pretty cool. Clark, what do you think about all this so far, as far as like how the AI is working on this application, what Manu's trying to do?
Well, I like the idea of having like the articles connected and things like that, because my biggest frustration watching just anything like other social media's reels or shorts or TikTok or whatever it may be, not necessarily someone intentionally misinforming, but sometimes people just speak outside of their expertise. And I get a lot of videos just wanting to see like news or anything. And obviously I have a lot of things, history and military history specifically, since that's what I studied, come up, that I follow. So my algorithm leans toward that. And I get people who are trying to tell a story for the sake of it being a good story, but their facts are just either unintentionally misleading, just wrong.
Yeah.
And that's really frustrating to me, because I'm like, oh, there's a lot of people out there who don't know, and they're gonna hear that and think, oh wow, this, and then that just keeps spreading. So I like fact checking being a big part of that, because that was one of my first questions, thinking like, oh, it's easy maybe to get rid of the brain rot stuff, but what about people who maybe have well intentions of putting something up but are just misinformed? And then, like I said, I'm assuming an article attached or thing like that, is that having an impact on that, or is there other fail safes, I guess you could say, systems in place that would maybe filter out someone, or maybe someone does have malicious intent, maybe they're trying to actually skew an opinion, kind of thing. Is there kind of fail safes against that?
So, two answers to that. Firstly, for the videos, we do not have user-generated videos content. So, you as a user, if you have the app right now, you cannot upload a video. You'd have to go through our website and apply to be a creator. We have a whole process. We make sure that you have a good following, that your videos are up to the quality, and our AI actually goes through each and every video and fact checks it before it's allowed. So even if a creator is accepted, maybe only like 30 to 40% of their videos are actually allowed onto our platform. And secondly, the user-generated content actually exists in the pulses, kind of like Twitter. But the difference is you have to put a news or an information source with whatever you want to be tweeting with. And if you do want to give an information source that isn't completely true or isn't, the best places to get this information, you can still do it. But our AI will basically give you give a tiny warning symbol or a very low rating. So people, when they click on that article, know that maybe they shouldn't be trusting the article or the website or the publisher just wholeheartedly.
Now, is it something where they could use another social media source as their reference, or as their I'm getting this from, TikTok as my article? Will your AI kind of give it a lower rating or a warning as hey, this may not be totally accurate, but you'll still allow it?
But your references can't be other social media, can't be a video. It needs to be an actual article or a website.
Interesting.
So if you try to if you put a TikTok video, it'll just give you that, this link is not accepted or something.
Hey guys, Future Haunted here, just cutting in real quick to tell you all about our new friends over at the Subculture podcast. Let's see what they have in store for us.
In this modern world of fractured societies and niche content, 'twas an ever-present underbelly that only the few know how to find. Two intrepid voyagers delve into its depths to bring you the inside scoop. This is the Subculture podcast.
Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Joe, and we invite you to join us on a journey of discovery on the Subculture podcast.
That's right. Each episode we'll dig around in a subculture, hidden hobby, or perplexing pastime, and then tell you all about it.
We'll try to find the good, the bad, the outright weird, the sexual, and the why. Why do people do it?
Wait a minute, did you just say sexual?
I did. Comes up more often than you'd think, or like.
Oh boy, nothing stranger than other people, am I right?
You're right. From ASMR to Zodiac believers, it's all going under the microscope.
So head on over to your favorite place for podcasts and search for us by name, the Subculture Podcast. We're on them all. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. I've even trained 10,000 screaming howler monkeys to yell it into people's windows at night.
Oh, not this again, Andrew. We've talked about the monkeys before.
Again, that was our friends over at the Subculture podcast. If any of that piqued your interest, then you should absolutely give them a follow. I know I already have. And now, back to the episode.
Now, going through the public education system here in the United States, they always told us never to use Wikipedia as a source, and I feel like it's gotten a lot better over the years. So I feel like Wikipedia, to me, Wikipedia isn't terrible, but I guess for a rating for your application, what would Wikipedia get?
Our rating is each article, so the AI that we use actually has access to the internet, so it will make these decisions on the fly. So assuming that you post the same link between 2 weeks apart and the news has changed between that, the rating that the AI gives will also change depending on the time and the facts that it has.
Okay, so for just example, this is just not, I'm just throwing something out there. Yeah. So if it was something where hey, this store is selling donuts for $1, and you put up there and there's a news article and everything like that, yep, it's a good rating, yep, that's true. But if that store now sells donuts for 50 cents, but that same week you put it up, that same thing, hey, the store's still selling donuts for $1, your AI will be no, that's not entirely accurate based on this and this. It is now saying that their donuts are only 50 cents. I guess that's my other question too. Is there something where someone could find better information if that didn't get a very good rating because the information isn't correct, does your AI give a source as to what is the most up-to-date information and what it might be true?
The AI gives its own recommendation as to the best possible link for the video, which has the highest rating. So sometimes it's a Wikipedia article, sometimes it's a BBC News clipping, but whenever, for the videos at least, it's complete. We hope that it's the most accurate thing we can find for that. But when it comes to the user-generated content, the pulses, which is like the Twitter feed, since you're a creator, since you're the person creating it, we don't want the AI to literally talk over you, right? We want you to have your own voice. The AI is just in the background, just giving the links a rating. It's not trying to tell that you're wrong. You have your freedom of speech.
Okay, so it's more of just like, it's an informative tool for other people, almost kind of like a hey, this is how accurate it is. If you want to believe this, or if you want to keep reading it, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be entirely true, kind of something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I also feel like maybe if this does get much bigger, websites will also look at their rating on our platform and try to improve their truthfulness so that the rating improves.
That's really cool. Now, is almost like what Clark was saying, is there any sort of fail-safe, or do you have like a team that is constantly verifying the AI is doing what it's supposed to be doing and it's accurate? Like, do you guys go in and give it like a test as far as like you just put something bogus up and see if it's like correctly functioning? Like, how does that piece work?
So every single time you make a post, it will check what people are saying in the internet and what multiple news sources and articles are saying about that particular topic. So we're not going to be tweaking the AI in any way. It's an open source AI. You can literally see the code. There's not much to it. But the failsafe honestly comes from the users, because you can report a post. And if enough people report a post, then it goes to our moderators, and it's up to them whether they decide to delete that post or leave it onto our platform.
Okay. It's pretty cool. Like, everything that you're saying, like, it sounds like it's a pretty useful app. I'm really eager to, mess around with it. As far as the application itself, this is just a broad question. I guess, what has been the biggest headache with the app so far?
Well, the development side of it, it's getting the speeds as fast as TikTok and Instagram. Because at least in our first version, it almost took a second or two to load. And for me, it was good. But for a regular user who is just coming from Instagram or TikTok, that 1 or 2 seconds is the difference of making them uninstall the app even. So we worked a lot to increase our response times of our videos to the point where now it's just as fast as Instagram or TikTok.
That's really cool. I will say that I feel like that is a kind of like a downfall. Just technology progresses, is that we need everything like right away. If it doesn't work, almost like what you were saying, within 1 to 2 seconds, and you experienced that, then it's like, okay, they may just delete the app altogether. So I could see that being a huge hurdle. I remember when I was back in grade school, and I think Clark can contest to this too, just using dial-up internet, not to age us or anything like that, but having to use the internet through the phone line. It's crazy that it took a couple of minutes to connect to the internet, and then when you wanted to load a web page, it took a couple more minutes. We live in a society now that everything is just so in your face and right now, and waiting 1 to 2 seconds could mean a lot as far as, people either keep downloading your app or they don't download your app. I can see that being a big thing. As far as like some other questions that I had for you, like, what tools do you provide to help users manage screen time or to like avoid doom scrolling? Because you had mentioned that too earlier about just like mindless scrolling. Does your application have anything set in place to kind of help users manage that?
We are trying to integrate a function where you can basically set yourself timers on Instagram and TikTok. So if you use TikTok for like more than 2 minutes, it basically gives you a warning. But what we realized is that more and more, the reason that people use TikTok and Instagram is because it's a messaging app too. And all my friends are on there, and I constantly get messages. So it's hard to uninstall the app, because that means cutting all of their messages off. But it's also happened to me multiple times that I've opened the app to reply to someone's message, and I instantly get stuck in the Reels or the TikTok scroll hole. So we're hopefully trying to be the new messaging app that people can use as an alternative.
Oh,
We'll have messaging up real soon. So ideally, at least if you're using our messaging on our app to just stay in touch with your friends, you do not have the same problem of getting stuck into a doom scrolling cycle just because you open someone's message.
okay. So are you trying to make like a one-stop shop kind of application where like you can message your friends, look at information and everything like that? Is that kind of what you're shooting for too here?
Yeah, pretty much. We already have the TikTok side of it with the videos, the Twitter side of it with the user-generated content, and if we just mix messaging and group chats along with it, then I'd say we're basically tackling all the social media giants and creating a much better ecosystem.
I always think about that too, is like, all right, what is the next thing? Because before TikTok, I think it was Vines, but you're always thinking like, oh, what could be better than Vines? And then boom, TikTok comes out. I might be talking with the person that's revolutionizing and gonna change how we use social media. We don't just use it for just looking at videos now. We use like one application for everything. That's really cool. I didn't even think about that, is like combining multiple things, but it makes sense to do something like that. You said that's a future thing. Have you done anything as far as like, is there any like betas within the app that you can test it out yet? Or is that something that's like, hey, that's just an idea, we really haven't messed around with it yet?
To a point, you can actually just add me, but you can only send one message so far. Hopefully by the end of this week or by next week, we will have the entire messaging, including groups, up. It's not too hard something to implement, so hopefully we're trying to focus on that.
Now, is it something too where like it's going to be somehow connected to like a phone number or anything? Or is it kind of no, that it's just there's a messaging part to it where you can do that as well?
So I also feel like people send videos of reels and even on TikTok, people send their TikToks on TikTok and their messaging app, right? So that's kind of what we want to do with Infotick too, that since you have Infotick's ticks and also pulses, just like Twitter or Instagram, you can send these tweets or pulses and videos using our internal messaging.
Oh shit, you know what? My apologies. Like, I feel like, and it's nothing against you or anything like that, but I feel like Reddit almost kind of does that same concept where you can scroll through, look at articles, but you can also message people through their thing. So I think I kind of understand what you're getting at. That's really cool that you're looking into that piece too, because I think that'll be more enticing to individuals. Is that something where you'd be able to message someone who posted that article? Would you be able to like message them directly about that, like where they got it, why they think like that?
You'd be limited to avoid spamming, but once whoever you're messaging accepts your message, you can have a conversation.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. Oh, that's really cool, because I like that, because I was going to ask too, as far as like, okay, people are posting things, are you able to add comments and everything like that onto people's posts, or it's no okay, that's cool.
You can comment on anyone's post. So we did have a tiny issue of some botting and some spamming going on, so we created a system where you can't create any posts unless you're verified. But getting verified is quite simple. We just require you to join our Discord, fill a form, make sure our moderators make sure you're not a bot, and that you get a verification code and a blue check mark too.
Ooh. See, that's something that I really like, because I feel like that's a big problem with like the bots and just like fake profiles. Have you had any issues with that? Like people trying to create a bot?
We have almost 30 verifiers, and these are all volunteer people who really just love the app and just join a Discord. We even have a moderation form on our Discord where you can apply to and be a moderator. There's multiple levels of moderators who make sure that the lower level moderators are doing the work properly. And these are all, they're working for free, just because it's kind of similar to Wikipedia, actually, because no one's actually paying anyone to make any changes on Wikipedia, but people just do it because they love, regulating the site and making sure it's a good platform. And just like that, on our Discord, we have over 30 moderators who are just making sure that everyone's profile is accurate and no one's botting and stuff like that.
Do you ever think there's going to be become a day where that's not going to be enough? Like, have you ever thought about, like, oh shit, like what happens when we have like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people downloading this application a day? How that's going to affect, or is it just going to be something where it may take a couple of days to get your profile verified, but it will be verified? Or do you think that more people will come on board and want to help out?
I mean, the number of people who are asking to be moderators are actually growing much faster than how fast our user base is growing. So I feel like we'll end up in a point where we have way too many moderators, but I feel like that's a good problem to have.
No, I 100% agree. Clark, what do you think about all of this so far?
Yeah, I kind of have like a twofold question here. So it involves like audience and audience size, I guess. It seems like this would like appeal to a lot of professionals in their various fields, and a way for them to actually maybe connect and like ask questions from people, like, you know, insight or studies, whether that be in, you know, writing or literature or history or science, you know, astronomy, whatever your, you know, chosen field is, that maybe professionals can connect, or it might be easier to reach somebody who otherwise on their social media would have somebody else taking care of that. But having said that, is the appeal in the end to be a mass appeal social media platform, or do you want it to be a little more selective? Obviously the process to get in is more selective, but do you think this is going to limit appeal to a wider audience, or do you kind of want it to be a little more of an inclusive, informed audience?
If you remember how Facebook started, it required you to verify yourself with your Harvard email address. So everyone on Facebook initially was a real person, and they really cared about making sure that everyone there was actually verified and, you know, real people. But that's really not what social media is anymore. It's just filled with all these accounts that you can't even know if they're a real person or not. So I'd say that when, at least I hope that Infotech remains a social media space where everyone that you're interacting with, even if their profile picture is a cat picture, you know it's a real human being at the very least.
How would you judge success based on like appeal or numbers? Like what would make you say, yeah, this was a success, we nailed it, kind of thing?
I'd say it would be a success when a large number of population starts using our app instead of TikTok and Instagram, because at least for a good portion of that time, because an average Gen Zer uses 2 to 2.5 hours on social media. So even if you get half the time, it's a crazy amount of on-screen time that we would be getting.
That's a pretty good goal to set as far as, you know, what you're looking for. Do you think that's shooting too high though? Do you think just getting mentioned like on a news network, or like, I guess like kind of like what Clark was saying, like what would be like a feasible goal, or like what would be like a holy shit, I think we made it? And what would be like a no, this is what we want, like this is like kind of like Clark was saying, like what is the end goal as far as like, yep, this is exactly what we wanted?
Definitely feel like just getting into maybe just having some lawmakers or just some politicians seeing the positive effect of it, because more and more I feel like states and countries are realizing that social media is having a negative effect on kids mainly, because I think the next generation is first generation to have a lower IQ for the first time ever, because ever since humans have existed, we've been getting smarter and smarter, except the next generation. And I feel for a large part that is because of social media. So I feel like if with the social media bans, if a lawmaker or a news organization realizes that, oh, maybe kids should be using our social media, maybe tell for a fact that under 16-year-olds or under 18-year-olds should be banned from other social media platforms, but they should be using Infotech because it actually helps their IQ.
Yeah, that is true. With like, I think you said like Australia, and there's other parts, I think in the States too, where it's like they're limiting the age of what age you can be to be on social media. Do you think that's a good thing, or do you think that's a bad thing?
They've definitely tried, but I don't think in any place they've actually done it, it's been successful, because kids are just way too smart. Like if they want to get on social media, they will get their parents' ID, they will get verified, they will figure out a way. The idea is not to tell them to stay away from social media, but to give them an alternative, because you can't tell them to stop scrolling, because they've been brought up in a world full of technology with constant video games and stuff like that. So it's hard to tell them, oh, go read a book. But I could tell them, go scroll on Infotick, because it's not that much different from scrolling on Instagram.
I do like that, where it's you're trying to make like a healthy alternative to the generation that's coming up. But I don't know. It's almost like kind of like what you said. Like, kids are smart; they're gonna figure out a way to do something. I feel like it has to be one of these things where a celebrity or like those influencers, they're using your platform too. It sucks, but I feel like that's the way it is. Like, kids want to do what the cool people are doing. If you have like one influencer or someone being like, no, Infotick is lame, you don't want to use that, use TikTok. All the kids are going to use TikTok. They won't go to your application. But I do like what you're doing. I just think there needs to be, I think if you could get an influencer to back you on this application, I think that would be a really good start.
Yeah, I think definitely going to influencers would be a good thing too. But I feel like just in more social circles, at least even personally, I feel, because I feel Infotick's blown up, at least in my university here, is that at least when people see me scrolling on Infotick, they're like, oh, what is that? And I explain it, and then they feel kind of FOMO on not having it, rather than the other way around.
Yeah.
Rather than, because there's not that many ways you can actually say that TikTok is better than us. You know, like, I'm saying that I'm getting smarter while you're watching cat videos. Like who is the better person in this equation? So I feel like this culturally, I feel like people will show off in friend circles to make themselves look cooler. They'll just install our app and just use it in public.
I mean, I do think you're right. I think that it's almost like one of those where like you learn from your mistakes type of thing, where I feel like it needs to be something where someone just finally realizes, like, I'm just wasting a bunch of my time. Like what you said, I'm just watching cat videos for 10 hours, where I could go to your application and learn something. Or, like, okay, here's a cat video, but underneath it is an article to the breed of cat and why it's doing what it's doing. Like, oh, okay, I just learned something, and I'm not just doom scrolling, or I'm not just melting my brain. I'm actually learning something along the way. That'd actually be pretty cool.
If I could just give you an example, one of the videos I would literally saw in Infotick today was kind of a cat video, but it was an informative video that cats don't really drink water next to their food sources, because historically they used to eat rotten food, so they don't really drink water from anywhere next to a corpse. So if you want your cats to actually not be dehydrated all the time, you should probably move your water source away from the food, so that they don't feel that weird feeling when they drink with the same place where they eat food.
That's bullshit. I have 2 cats, and those things drink water right next to their food. I'm gonna give that a low rating on your thing. That's false. They should come to me for.
Well, it's linked to a news article. I mean, not news article. I think it was a Wiki article. I can send that to you later. Maybe check it out.
I'm just joking. My cats are fat. They'll eat and drink wherever. They don't care. But no, like exactly what you just said. Like that, I didn't know that. And to like get that little bit of information right there, like that's amazing. And I do know that like there's been a lot of controversy here in the States as far as the TikTok goes, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like China developed the app TikTok, and if you compare what the Chinese allow on their TikTok versus what is allowed on ours, it's 2 completely different things. Again, I that's just what I've heard. Fact check me on that. Clark, have you heard anything about that?
I mean, I haven't looked into it, to be honest, but I mean, I would imagine that's true of anywhere. I mean, just always think it's funny how looking at old media, video game, cartoons and stuff, how they changed from PAL regions, European to like America. They change titles because certain words can't be used. Like, they won't use ninja in Europe, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles in Europe. So
what?
I mean, yeah,
no way.
So like
really?
things like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be so crazy that it's like political brainwashing. They just might not choose to use certain media or material or words or something. Just sometimes guidelines are just different country to country.
Yeah, that's true.
No, but actually, I do think you're right. Stevenson's right about that, because in China, at least TikTok has a lot more government control, so they don't really allow the same amount of brain rot. And their STEM TikTok is basically their TikTok. They do have like live shows and stuff where they try to sell products, but the main kind of, the brain rot videos are really limited by the government.
That makes sense. Because you're in Europe, correct?
Mm-hmm.
As far as I guess, have you ran into any sort of like policy or like country issues, like trying to get this? Is this trying to be like a worldwide thing that you're trying to get this application on, or only a few countries can use it? Like, I guess, how's that hurdle, or how have you been negotiating that?
So right now it's just we only have English speaking videos, so we're just trying to target all the English speaking regions.
Okay.
But ideally, hopefully in the near future, we will be able to use AI to transcribe videos into multiple languages, so we will have localization too.
Oh, that would be cool. Because I do know that like that can be kind of like almost like we were talking about, like the whole age thing and verifying, like Australia, if they don't allow like their youth to be on social media, how are you going to negotiate that?
I haven't really checked. I don't think we really have any downloads in Australia, but I don't think the new regulation has affected us in any way, because I don't think we're labeled as a social media app, at least in the Play Store or such. Maybe once we get a few thousand or million downloads in Australia, then the regulators will start looking at us. But ideally, I'd say that even if that happens, we should be able to skirt the regulation, because if their main reason for banning social media is because it's brain rotting and ruins the children's attention span and makes them dumber, like our app is literally doing the opposite. So they'd want to promote it rather than, trying to push it down.
Have you met with any like lawmakers or like politicians or anything like that where you are to try to promote your app in any sort of way, or no, not yet?
I'm not at that level yet, but looking to get in touch with somebody. So if any lawmakers are listening to this podcast,
I don't know if they're going to be listening to that. Stuff been weird. They might. I don't know. That'd be awesome if they did. But no, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Because I mean, I would imagine that would be, a pretty big step in the right direction, especially what you're trying to accomplish. Because I see your app as being like a weird mix between news, social media, information gathering, kind of like, I don't know, it sounds really cool, and I hope it goes someplace, and I hope it keeps growing and everything like that, because it sounds like it could be a benefit and a great alternative to the other social medias that we have.
I think a good way of putting our app is we're the Wikipedia for videos, basically.
Okay, that's a good way to put it. Something that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I was looking at the application and everything like that. Was it a vote, or did you come up with the logo for Infotick?
I'm a designer myself, so I definitely came up with the logo and the visuals and the app. I really love making sure everything looks perfect.
It does look good. It looks professionally done and everything, and that it caught my eye and everything. So you did good. It's not too much out. I feel like there's enough there, and it's not like overdoing it or anything. It's pretty cool. Just wanted to know that. I was just looking at it. Some other questions. This is like future outlook and everything like that. Like, where do you see short form videos heading in the next like 3 to 5 years? And how is your application kind of preparing for that? Like, these videos are kind of, short, kind of you can doom scroll. They're only a couple seconds long. Is your platform trying to do something to combat that? Is there something where it's like only 30-second videos are allowed so you get some more information? I guess kind of where do you see yourself there?
So I think with short form videos, we've always been trending towards that. Like more and more applications have been introducing reels into their feed. And I feel like we as a society are going to be moving towards short form videos. So rather than to try to change that flow, we're just trying to go with it and try to improve that basically. So we're trying to get the most amount of information you can get through a short form video to you. But we also recognize that there's not that much information you can actually present someone. And I think one of the worst statistics we've found is that around 80% of Gen Zers say all the news that they get is from social media, which is honestly alarming and scary to me, because social media has no kind of fact checking, no kind of truthfulness. Like, you have no idea if anything that you're hearing on social media is true. and around 80% of young people just say that that's their only source of news. So I'd hope that at least our Pulses feed turns into the kind of news feed that people can actually watch and trust.
I don't know how it is in Europe, but I do know that there's a lot of controversy and a lot of what news source can you trust here in the States? Because I feel like there's two political aisles here in the States, and there's nothing else. So when someone sees Fox, they're like, oh, okay, well that's very conservative. And then when someone sees CNN, oh, that's very, liberal leaning. I feel like the news article or where it's coming from here, it's hard to break away. I feel like as far as like news goes, there's a lot of, and Clark, you can tell me how you feel about this too. I almost feel like I get more of an unbiased, like, just tell me what's going on through social media. Like, I'll go through Reddit, again, I'll take Reddit with a grain of salt. I don't trust everything, but just to know what is going on in the world, I'll go to Reddit and just be like, okay, something went on here. And like, I'll try to look into other places, but as far as like the news outlets, it seems like it's either this or this. You just have these media giants here in the States that, it's hard to kind of get away from them. And then if someone asks you like, hey, where'd you get that information? And you say like a news outlet, then they're like, oh, okay, well, that's not true. Or they only say this kind of way or this kind of thing. I don't know. It's Clark. What do you think? Do you think I'm wrong by saying that?
Can I just say what we're trying to do to solve this, though?
Yeah, go for it.
So we realize people don't really trust news outlets, but they trust people. So what we're trying to do is have bots attached to the videos that people are releasing, like Brian Tyler Cohen or someone on the right, like maybe Tucker Carlson. So whenever they release a video, a bot basically just goes through the video, makes a 400 character summary, and posts it onto our Reels feed and links the video onto the post even. So you get a short, basic, unbiased script because it's not written by a human. It's just a summary of the video through an AI. So you can trust at least that 400-word summary of it. And you can obviously go through the rest of the video. And the idea is, at least if you can't trust sources, at least you can figure out what people you want to trust.
Now, that's pretty cool. I'll say what I'm thinking in just a second, but Clark, you think I'm wrong by saying all that stuff about media?
No, I mean, well, yes and no. I'll say I don't think you're wrong, but I think you'd have to like take everything with a grain of salt with the media, especially in the United States. I think if you're informed and know when you're listening to the news that it's either, that it's coming from one perspective or another, then it's not dangerous. But yes, I think anyone who is just blindly watching the news, not understanding that it's flirting with a dangerous misinformation, people taking things too literally. But I think there are some good outside United States news sources that I personally will look at if I just want an unbiased opinion. And then Reddit, I mean, if I just want to know what's going on in the world, but still, I try to look at as much things as I can without tainted opinions, just to be able to see like a short summary of what this person is saying, just an opinion free. Hey, this is exactly what's on there. You can choose to see it, choose to watch it or not, or, because that's how I have to do with any kind of, videos or reels or anything I'm seeing, is I kind of have to vet the people. So like, okay, well, this person comes from a certain background. I can generally understand they know what they're talking about. Everyone's going to be skewed, I guess, in their personal opinions, but people that have a more reputable background, at least I can kind of trust.
So just coming back to that, I think the problem with social media right now is that you do not get to see people with these multiple backgrounds. I mean, if you're a little bit more, like, if you search for these people, and sure, you'd be able to find them. But if you are, like, in one of these sites, it's more likely than not that you're just continuously fed stuff that brings you more information in that one direction. So that basically doesn't give you all the sides of the story. So, and that's something that social media companies does on purpose because it gives them more engagement. So at least with our algorithm, I'm going to make sure, at least personally, that it doesn't turn into that. You will get multiple sites, multiple people talking about the same thing, so you can make a more informed decision.
I really like that. I think that's a good plan, and that's something that you should strive to do. That whole, you have a bot installed where it just gives a quick summary or synopsis of what that video is about. I think that's going to be really useful, like unbiased, just say, hey, this is what this person is saying. And like what Clark was saying, like take it with a grain of salt, do your own research, they actually look into it, but then your platform also gives those, news articles and links and everything like that. So, man, I think, you're on to something. I'm super excited to see how it grows and where it goes from here. Got a little bit of time left. Got about 5 minutes, but Clark, do you have any questions or anything like that before we do our final thoughts for this app?
Not really. I guess I maybe just a clarification or specify on, because I was curious about the whole future of short form versus long form, like how, because originally YouTube was very short videos, and then everybody clamored for longer videos and more content. Sure, it's probably on the radar, but not really something to consider right now. But is there maybe ideas for a future like long form section, or maybe even, or if there is a longer discussion that actually is article based, maybe like a classroom type setting where multiple people can watch a video live, like you said, there was, you're looking into live videos and stuff.
So I feel like our messaging and our groups setup, we can set up maybe having live streams and stuff on groups, but I still feel like we're never going to actually be in the long form video market. So I feel like if you do want to post long form videos, you can post them on YouTube and just link those onto our platform with your shorts once you get to be a creator.
Now, again, I'm not criticizing your app or anything like that, but I think Clark kind of has something there where maybe there's like a side column or something where you want to watch the history of this, or you want to watch like how this was built, or why cats, you want to watch an hour-long video on why cats move their water away or drink water away from food. Like I think that's not a terrible idea, like something to that. But again, that's future, it's not on your radar or anything like that.
I definitely get that. And I think a lot of people have pitched that too, but at least personally, my idea of when I made this app is I want people to read more. That's what I want people to get back to, and that's why we do not allow like articles that links to other social media sites, other videos, because I want people to use our app as a video platform, but to actually get to articles so they can read more about it and get the information rather than through a video. At least that's my personal, ideology behind creating the app.
And that's true too. And it's your application, and if that's what you wanted to do and what you're set out to do, by all means, keep doing it. That's great. I do agree with that. Where I feel like people are watching more videos than actually reading nowadays. But no, that's really cool. I got one more question for you before we sign off. I'm really interested to see what you're going to say about this. If TikTok were to suddenly just get banned in all these countries, how would your platform respond to that, to the sudden influx of users? Or what would you do to try to make people come to your application?
So I feel like TikTok has its feet in way too many things right now. They have live streaming, they have the TikTok shop, they have a lot of influencers on there. And honestly, our application, it's not for the masses, I'd say. If a person is making the change to Infotech, they're doing it willfully because they want something different from TikTok. So I feel like if TikTok falls, there's going to be another TikTok. If you're going to be using Infotech, you are willfully making that decision in your mind that I'm going to use a less addictive app, and it's not going to be as entertaining, but it's going to make me a better person. So I feel like everyone who is using our app even today is kind of at least mentally willpower, and they know that they're making a positive choice by using it over TikTok or Instagram.
That's great, Manu. That's I'm glad you said that. You threw a lot of information on us today and our listeners and everything. Is there any final thoughts or comments that you want to throw out there? Any links or anything like that? Again, we'll provide links in our description so people can find you and everything like that. But is there anything that you want to tell our audience members before we sign off?
I'd just say that want to be a more interesting and a more fun person, definitely join Infotech, because every single video is just gonna give you at least something that makes you smarter. So and definitely make you a more interesting and fun person to talk to.
That's awesome. I'm going to download it right now then. And Clark, is there anything?
And no, just I appreciate not just the information, but the effort put into it as well. And thanks for coming on.
All right. Hey, listeners, that was Manu, his new app, InfoTick. If you're looking for it, we're going to have the description and everything where you can find it in our description of the show. You know what I'm saying. Came out February of this year, has 3,000 users, about 200 users every single day are joining it. Don't be the last one. Go ahead and check it out. If you have any other questions or anything like that for Manu, I'm sure he would gladly take them in his application. I'm sure he has a customer support or anything like that. You could reach out to him if you want more information on it. We'll provide some links. And yeah, you can just, remember that old saying that we have here. We don't want stuff that's normal. We want stuff that's effing weird.